This is your Lehigh Valley, where your success reaches new heights. Excellence isn't achieved by chance. Success requires vision, commitment, flexibility. Change brings opportunity. The opportunity to think and work different, better. This space offers solutions and resources you'll love, with a world-class vibe that's close to home. There's nothing ordinary about this space. Here is where you'll achieve the extraordinary. This is your Lehigh Valley. This is your Venture X.
Welcome to Somos Lehigh Valley. It's our weekly podcast that's brought to you by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Venture X. This morning we are here in South Bethlehem. Can't believe that we're already smack in the middle of the month of May and getting ready for another great interview today. Just wanted to take a second to just thank everyone for your feedback, for jumping in and listening to the podcast. I bump into people all the time who've had great things to say about the guests that we've had, the content, and we appreciate your support. If you want to spread the word even more, just let your friends know, share, follow, wherever it is that you listen to your podcast, wherever it is that you watch Somos Lehigh Valley, so that we can grow out our community, because we are all about family. And this morning we have a very special guest. We have the community liaison for the Da Vinci Science Center, our friend Norberto Dominguez. Norberto, what's going on, bud?
Hey. Good morning.
Thanks
for having me.
Thanks for being with us today. So I know that we've been trying to get you on for a while. A couple of weeks back, I had our good friend Elizabeth Ortiz on, from Cactus Blue, and she had a list of people. She's like, man, there's all these amazing people in our community, and one of the people she mentioned was you. So I said, hey, we're gonna have him on the show. So glad that we were finally able to make it happen.
Yeah, Liz was one of our first actors.
I didn't know that.
I've known Liz since she was 13 years old.
Wow. Okay.
And she was came to be a professor. I'm so proud of her. She's amazing. And her husband has a great restaurant in the Cactus Blue.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Awesome. So Norberto, before we get started with, picking your brain and finding out all about you and all that good stuff, why don't you give people just a quick intro of who you are and, a little bit of your background so that we can get to know you a little better?
Sure. So Norberto Dominguez, I am the community engagement liaison, as you mentioned, for Da Vinci Science Center. I'm also a board president for the Alton Public Theater. I'm a writer. I'm a director.
He's got this really nice voice right here.
It's only going to be for like the next 30 minutes. And I sound like this.
Cool.
Yeah, so I just love working with Da Vinci. It's fantastic. It's a great place. I'm half nerd and half Cro-Magnon man, so I can be a real knuckle dragger sometimes, which means I'm just a man. But I love being there. There's wonderful people there. It's a great place to work at. It's a great place to visit. I think people are going to have a fantastic time bringing their family over there. And, life is, if you're fortunate enough to find a way to have fun while you're, earning some pay, or just have fun and bring happiness into your life, then
that's the secret right there.
Then you're
have fun while you're taking care of what you got to take care of. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to talk about Da Vinci a little bit later, because it's an exciting week with Da Vinci.
It is.
The Science Center opening up on Hamilton. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but I just want to get into your story a little bit here, because I know we've gotten together and we've had a chance to talk.
Yes.
So your family is originally from the Dominican Republic, right?
That is correct, from Santiago and Sabana de la Mar,
which is kind of central to the country.
Right.
Santiago is the second largest city in the Dominican.
Exactly.
And it very much looks a lot like Santo Domingo, right? It's almost like a carbon copy.
Yeah. Now, I haven't been here since the 90s, since 1991.
Man.
So I know that it's changed a lot. And I saw the videos. It's crazy. And I see that. It looks just very, very modern.
Yeah, so our guest last week, which was Elizabeth Strong, she's got us both beat, because she's been to the DR 25 times.
Wow, that's amazing.
In the last 4 years, 25 times.
Wow, so she's
So
Practically Dominican.
yeah, well,
How's her
absolutely.
Spanish? Is it good? Is
Yeah, she's
getting
good.
it,
Her
right?
Spanish is good. Her Spanish is good. So
Okay.
I feel like before you and I decide to go to DR, we need to sit down with Liz for like an hour.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask her for directions.
Because before it's like you'd go to DR and hey, if the police officer pulled you over, you just offered him a beer and whatever it was. But I don't know if that's the etiquette anymore.
I did hear that you should have some extra money on you just in case.
Just some extra cash. Well, we'll see. We'll see. So your family's originally from the DR. So were you born in the DR?
No, I was born in Brooklyn.
Born in Brooklyn. Oh, come on. Shout out for Brooklyn.
South 9th Street, Williamsburg.
Yeah, man. I have a lot of friends who come from that area. Division Street, Myrtle Avenue. What, the M train, right?
Forget about it.
Yeah, forget about it.
Yeah,
New York City. So Brooklyn, New York.
Yes,
So you were born and raised there?
Yes.
So you went to high school in Brooklyn?
No. So how that worked out was that I was there in the 70s, and that's when New York was on fire.
Oh, yeah.
In the
Things
70s.
were bad. I mean, you couldn't walk through Times Square back then.
No, you couldn't. And so on our block, you knew that there was going to be gang wars when someone's car would go on fire.
Wow. They would literally put someone's car on fire.
Yes, that's when you knew that something. I'm trying to think now if they use the same car. That's a good question.
Yeah. That's the stunt car. Like, hey, just light it up.
Just leave that car right there. That's the car we use. But it got really crazy. So some of my fondest memories is running down the fire escape with my family with billowing smoke coming out the windows.
Wow.
So after a
This
couple
is your
times of that-
childhood.
yes,
Man.
yeah. So then my father became a steelworker. Got a steelworking job in Pennsylvania in the early 70s, and he got us out here. And Allentown, Allentown's always been a bustling little city, but it was still, como un campo for
It's
us.
like farmland.
Yeah. So it was, it was interesting to see animals, on the way. I saw my first cow was 9 years old on a highway going on Route 22 back then. And
what's funny is like yesterday I was driving to Muhlenberg. Not Muhlenberg. To Kutztown.
yes,
We were driving to Kutztown.
Yes.
And we're on our way back from Kutztown, and my daughter sees a horse buggy.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, that's really random, right
It
there."
really
Like,
is.
I mean, if you're from this area, you're used to seeing that.
Yeah, I went to school there for a little bit, and it's fantastic. I love seeing that. Seeing a horse running down the street. It's just a cool thing. I wish we could go back to that.
Yeah. I mean, instead of having all these EVs and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. When we seen an electric horse, that's when
Electric horse. That'd be it. That'd be it. So, I mean, it's interesting that you've been in the Lehigh Valley that long, because I feel like you have perspective that, a lot of folks who haven't lived in the area as long do. I mean, I've been here for 20 years,
Right.
which is, I mean, it's certainly a good amount of time, but it's not as long as you've been around.
Right.
So how have you seen the Lehigh Valley evolve over the time that you've lived here? Like since you what are some of the the big changes that you've seen over time?
It's changed a lot. I mean, when we first moved here, I used to go. My family would ship me back to Brooklyn every summer, so every summer I was still back in Brooklyn, but I was still growing up in Allentown. Would come back here, and it was mostly Pennsylvania Dutch in Allentown. There's just small pockets of Puerto Rican families that were near each other, and in Allentown, we moved when we first got here. We were on 2nd Street, and it was mostly Pennsylvania Dutch and Italian. And historically, there's been just like a black part of the block, always in a corner that's still there, and it's been just passed down through generations.
So is that First Ward?
That is the First Ward right there in the Harrison Morton area right
Yep.
there. But then you grow up, and it went through its tough period in the 80s and early 90s. People just started just leaving. And then there's just remarkable things started seeing when you started seeing people come in investing and seeing and recognizing that it's the third largest city in the entire state of Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania is the ninth most rural state in the union.
Yeah.
And this state is huge. It's amazing. So to be the third largest city in this state, people started really to recognize it. And then the secret was that we were only an hour and a half from New York. You're 45 minutes from the Poconos. You're an hour and a half from the beach. And
2 hours from Philly.
2 hours from, an hour, 45 minutes
yeah,
from Philly.
yeah.
So you're within a 4-hour or 3-hour drive, you have multiple
You have an
major
airport.
cities. You have an airport. You can see baseball games, football games at a national level, and there's just so much that you can do. And then the word started to get out. So you saw like the first influx of Latinos coming in the early '80s.
Yeah.
And then
That was like Julio Guridi's group and,
Yeah.
folks, his contemporaries, right?
Exactly.
Ismael Arcelay also.
Yeah, and then in the '90s you saw another large influx, and then it's just been changing from there. And then people just started investing, and then you see downtown Allentown just completely change within the past 20 years.
I remember when I got here,
Yeah.
it was a ghost town.
It really was.
I think you had like the Wachovia, it was the Wachovia Bank back then,
Correct.
and a Wendy's,
Right.
smack in the middle of downtown.
That
That's
is
all
correct.
you had. Everything else was boring. And the
Forgot about
Chinese food
Wendy's.
place.
Oh no, they're great. Yes, good
So
people.
That's all you had downtown,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
on Hamilton and 7th.
That is correct.
For somebody who goes down there now,
Yeah.
it's hard to imagine,
Yep.
it being barren and, boarded up and
Yeah.
nothing there. So it's been a huge change.
A
over
bit
the past-
major change. It was good to see because when we first got here in the '70s, it was downtown was bustling.
You had Hess's.
You had everything.
right?
You had Hess's, you had Orr's department store. You had, was it Orr's? Yeah, I think it was Orr's. No,
And
it was another one. But
And there used to be like a commuter train, right?
yes, that stopped. I think the last
Early 70s,
trolleys.
I think
It was trolleys. They had.
Well, you had the trolleys, but then
Yeah.
you also had a train
Yeah,
that,
there was
that went into New York. I think.
Yes, that was there. I think that stopped in the late '60s or early '70s.
Yeah.
Because they were pulling up the last tracks when we got here from Brooklyn in
Wow.
'73.
Wow.
And my friend Javi Diaz with Channel 69, not 69, with PBS.
Yeah, PBS. Shout out Hav.
Javi is the man.
Yeah.
He did this little documentary, showed trolleys coming into Allentown, going across 8th Street, being right downtown. This whole area, one of the saddest things that's happened is, I don't know if we'll see it again, is the trolleys that were connected from here all the way up to the Poconos, through Whitehall, Emmaus, would go all the way down to Philly, to New York. Those trolleys, imagine just jumping on that and going up there. So it's good to see that, when we're really going to see this place change is in 10 years when they rebuild those trains and you got people coming in from New York and back and forth to Allentown, and that other one going from Reading to Philly.
Yeah.
So this area is going to continue to bustle. I think regardless of what happens globally or the economy, this area is going to just continue to be a bustling area
100%.
for the next 30, 40 years, if not more, because of all the folks that are coming in, people. And now from a commercial perspective, you see all the warehouses coming up because they see that you can service like 80% of the country, 70% of the country right from this region.
100%. Yeah. FedEx has a huge hub right there on, in the area. So as we're talking about the development of this area, certainly you can't tell that story without talking about the Da Vinci Science Center.
Correct.
Talk to us about how the talks began of bringing the Science Center to downtown Allentown. Like, what were those conversations like?
Well, they were looking for one of the three cities to be in, Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton. And there was a lot of talk about being in Easton. And then the pandemic happened.
Yeah. If I had $1 for every time somebody said that,
Right.
and then COVID happened, then the pandemic happened.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so that changed, funding, where it's going to be at, that kind of stuff. And then I think it was a wise choice to be within the downtown Allentown. region because, again, it's the third largest city in Pennsylvania. It's a growing, bustling place. It's
Almost 65, 70% Latino population.
very diverse, you know, and you have, and from the Latino population, you have many Latin American nations that are coming in from South America and Central America.
I'm glad you touched that point because for many years, the population here was primarily Puerto Rican, Dominican, but now you're seeing multiple cultures
Correct.
within the Hispanic community.
That's what's great about having Da Vinci downtown because now, as an organization, we also want to reflect the community. And so, you know, we're hiring. So if you are looking for employment, DaVinciScienceCenter.org, you know, check it out and put it in careers right there in the search button because we are hiring. We're looking for new folk down here. And we want to reflect our community, you know, and we want people to come in, speak the language, their language, and us speak it back to you. So, you know, I'm just really excited. I think it's a great move, and it's fantastic to be downtown. Just within a 10-block area, just like 5 years ago, there were 9,983 people living just within that 10-block area, and 70% of colors. So, just wonderful. Love it.
Yeah. So we've got the Science Center opening up on the 22nd.
That is correct.
And you guys are not wasting any time. You're bringing in an exhibit like right from the beginning with dinosaurs alive,
Yes.
right? What can people expect to see when they come in to see, well, not just dinosaur alive, but
Right.
when they come in to see the Science Center?
So, you know, there's a My Body exhibit that you go in and you can see that it's very, very interactive. The entire place is interactive.
Lots of new exhibits. The body exhibit I had heard about. The dinosaur exhibit that's coming. There's also an area there where there's some manufacturing exhibits as well, right? From some of our local companies like Air Products and others.
And there's this immersion room, so you can go in and it's like 40-foot tall screens. Then we have otters. There's live exhibits there.
Oh my gosh, I was just about to ask you about the otters because there's a lot of excitement, you know, with the otters. So they have a whole habitat there.
They do. They have a whole habitat. And you know what's cool is that so when you go in to see them, you walk through this cave section and it looks just like a cave. You know, it's amazing when you go in there and then it opens up and you see really high ceilings and large windows. Most importantly, you see the otters. And there's this part where there's glass windows and you can see the otters swim underwater.
Oh, that's so cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, you're seeing both sides of it. This is a really cool place. So it's not just technological. It's from a biological perspective. Like you can see what's going on with animals and our bodies and, you know, and the most important thing is also how we interact with each other.
Yeah.
And the importance of us not only helping each other out as human beings, but as also helping our ecology out and making it a better place to live in the future. And if we can, you know, teach our future the importance of that, as well as our present generation, the importance of that. You know, the most important thing is coming to check it out and see the otters, see how you can be interactive when it comes to technology, see how what your body's going to look like in the future, or even now if you take care of it, seeing what how society is working from a psychological standpoint, you know, and then you got dinosaurs. You know, everybody loves dinosaurs, almost everyone, right? So this is a great opportunity. You know, even we as adults, you see what's really cool to see, and I saw this in our previous facility, is when the adults become the kids too. You know, so this is an opportunity for that kid and you to just,
curiosity.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the Dino exhibition is the first exhibition that's coming in there, and there's also classroom space. So Central.
Yeah, I was going to
Elementary
ask you
School-
about that too, because I know that there's there's going to be students who are going to be going to the Science Center for school.
Exactly, right up the street is a Central Elementary School. So those kids are going to be able to. They're going to be walking right down. It's literally like just a block down from us. So this is a new part of their school, is the Da Vinci Science Center.
That's
those
awesome.
Classrooms. It really is.
Yeah.
And then there's summer camps.
And
there's
the
different-
way that this has been built is that there's a back street that for years was not accessible, that has been opened it back up once again
Yes.
to allow for school bus traffic and really allow for these larger groups to come in, like do things like summer camps and things like that.
And so there's a parking deck, a spiral parking deck right next door to it. So you don't have to worry about looking for parking. There's plenty of parking right next door. You take that exit when you come down the elevators, and you're literally like 25 feet right there from the science center.
And obviously, there's plenty of places around town to for people to take a break and have lunch. But I think there's also a cafe or a cafeteria in the science center.
That's correct. Aramark is there and providing great food right there in a cafe. And what's really cool is that there is a patio that you can go out to, and you can see plants that have been planted to show different types of how ecologically how things work. So it's not just pretty flowers. You're actually seeing science in the making, just creating science in the creating stage there as well, while you're taking some sun and having, una sopita.
When they did the installation of the last beam back in May last year, I remember that a few of us had a chance to write something on the beam.
Correct.
And I took a picture of what I wrote.
Oh, yeah, what'd you write?
I wrote, "For future generations."
Ooh, I wrote "Go Steelers."
Mine was a little more deep and insightful, right? Because I saw that. Because, it's like I saw that.
Yes.
When I went there, I saw that this
beautiful.
is really, really inspiring. Like, if you really want to make a deposit, if you really want to make an investment in the future of Allentown, it really starts at places like Da Vinci, where you are inspiring children to see themselves as those scientists, as those lawyers, as those people in the community who are affecting the community that will be tomorrow. Because we're not going to be around, but what they learned and how they were inspired, that's going to live on with them.
It is, and again, if you're an adult or a teenager, the same thing could happen. You could go in there and find out that you are not in the field that you want to be in. This might inspire you to go into something, Lehigh Valley Hospital
Or there was
Network.
something that you never thought of as a field, but you feel passionate about.
Yeah, exactly. Lehigh Valley Hospital Network is part of the My Body experience. So they're going to have some folks there too with our staff. And our staff is amazing. Shout out to our staff out there at the Vinci Science Center. You're doing a really, really good job. They're hardworking kids and people, and they're just amazing.
Well, they're kids to you, right? But they're
some of
grown-ups.
them. There's a couple that are maybe my age, but just wonderful. But these wonderful people are going to be there to speak about, the different things that you can do within those careers within from a technological, biological standpoint. So someone can walk in there that's in the 30s, 40s, or 50s or whatever, and be like, "Wow, maybe I should check this out."
Because we're living longer.
Exactly.
There's a chance for a second career.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we are hiring, so please go to DaVinciScienceCenter.org and check in careers and be a part of our team.
And if you heard about this job, from the podcast, please let them know.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Please come down. And if you want to volunteer and be a part of it and help your community become a better place to live in, please come down and just go to our website, and again, just put in volunteers in the search button and be a part of the team. You can still be a part of the team whether you're working here or volunteering with us.
100%. So we've talked a good deal about the Da Vinci Science Center, Norberto, but I feel like I've left a few things off the table with you that I want to get back. Yeah, man. I mean, it's like, I know that you're involved in theater. Talked about, you and I talked about Hala, which you were involved with for years.
Yes.
What is it that you're doing right now as far as, when you're not at Da Vinci, how you're supporting, our young people in theater?
Well, thank you for asking. I love my community. And I love working with kids because they are our future, And again, when they asked me, a couple of them asked me, why am I doing this? And I tell them it's because I was you, and no one was helping us out back then. You know, when I founded an organization called the Hispanic American League of Artists, I purposely titled that because there were no organizations or programs that were specifically for Latino arts and culture. And I had to learn a lot through that process. You know, I was going to school for chemistry at that time, and then I was working for a bank. I had no background in that field, but over time, you know, I learned a lot of things, and one of the most important part of this process is seeing how you have an opportunity to inspire a child to become a better person. And if they are an actor or an artist of any kind, the importance of not just becoming a better artist, but being paid as an artist. And because many times artists are not respected when it comes to...
None of them starve.
Yeah, and you have that whole thing of the starving artist, and I want to help change that. So to answer your question, the Allentown Public Theater is a theater that's been around for 14 years, and I joined them about 6 years ago, and then we went through the pandemic, got through it, hired some new folks, made sure that they were bilingual, and then I met with the school district. And we've been in 3 schools, or more than 3 schools. But recently we're at Dodd Elementary, and we're now in Trexler Middle School in Harrison Morton. For me, what's important about this is that we want to develop people to become not just better artists and better people, but future graduates. So I want to be there when these kids graduate, the ones that I'm working with right now. When they graduate from high school and when they graduate from college. So what the Allentown Public Theater is creating is not just an after-school program to teach kids how to put on a show. There are a couple aspects of it. One of them is there's a teen mentorship program. So one of the kids that we started working with 3 years ago is now at one of the high schools. And she comes back and she gets paid $25 per session to help other kids that were just like her at middle school, and helping those kids turning into future mentors themselves so that they can help kids. And so they're going to be going through this process right into high school. And then we've been meeting with Muhlenberg College, and I just started having conversations with someone from DeSales University. And so we want to have those kids come in and work with our kids, and then create this cycle from
creating
the collegiate
pathways
level and pathways for them. And speaking of pathways, as a side note, Da Vinci Science Center also has a pathways program in the science that's doing almost the same exact thing, teaching kids so that they slowly come into become college graduates as well into the science field. This summer, they're going to be learning the business side of theater,
which is really important.
Yeah. So
I mean, a lot of people don't realize how many dollars are needed to put on a play or a production.
Yeah.
And so that side of it is super important.
It really is. It really is. You had an opportunity this summer to make more money. And they were like, how? I said, well, you're going to learn how to put a production together. But how will you market it? And the ticket price that you guys decide that you want to have there is then going to be decided amongst you how you're going to break it up amongst yourselves. Mm-hmm. And if you have more people coming in,
you're going to reinvest in the next play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they're learning about how to put a budget together, how to put a production together, what's needed, how much it's going to cost to put this set together. Mm-hmm. You know, who's going to be the person taking the tickets? Who's collecting that?
Yep.
And how are we keeping track of that? How to, work the lights? How do you
Mechanical
work the sound?
writers.
Exactly. And so there's a writing team that's, these are going to be Harrison Morton kids and Trexler Middle School kids that are going to be working together. And I asked them this week, I was just like, so is there any beef between you guys? They're like, no, we're good with the Harrison Moore kids. So.
It's like with the Eagles and what was it from Greece? Like the Eagles and the Thunderhawks.
Oh, yeah, forget about it, right?
From, West Side Story.
Yeah. So, no, none of that happening. So they're both looking forward to amazing kids. The kids at Harrison Moore, and they're working on their first original production. And so they're going to be performing for their school, I think right before the holidays, like the 22nd or something like that in May.
Awesome.
So they're learning, two schools learning different aspects of theater, how to do an actual musical production and how to create your own. And then December, they're going to be working together to create their own. I'm really excited seeing them come together because, there's a lot of talent in our community.
There is.
And these kids are very bright and they surprise me. And the thing about it is about going through this process is that anyone who teaches, whether you are a mother or a father, tío, tía, or an actual instructor or an educator, you do learn that when you teach, you learn yourself.
100%.
There's something that you're like, wow, I didn't know that. And kids will say some stuff sometimes that you're like, how old are
Very
you?
insightful, right?
Yeah, you're like, wow, I didn't. That's really good. Let me write that down.
Because they're still in touch with their curiosity about the world. So I think that sometimes, young people, children, they're still willing to ask the questions that we're kind of asking ourselves internally.
Yeah.
They're willing to, ask it externally.
That's true. And they ask it internally and verbally. So you're like, oh, I never.
I was
thought
thinking
of
about
that.
this. I was thinking about it, but I'd never really posed it this way.
Yeah, I remember when my younger brother asked me one day, "Why don't birds fly upside down?"
Huh?
Like, well, that's
I never really thought about that
question.
one.
I mean, I told them they would get dizzy. So one reason,
Disoriented, right?
but but it's amazing just the questions that they ask, and then it makes you. The beauty of being an adult. I believe one of the beauties of being an adult is if you still connected to the child within yourself, not the child that tries to run you every once in a while, the child within you that has wonder,
inner
and
child.
curiosity.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about when you come to the Da Vinci Science Center, because then it brings that part of you out of you. But even when you're with your own family and different aspects of it, it also, you see that coming out of you, and and you're like, oh wow, that's cool. Let's play around. Let's talk about this. And it's just
like the color
wonderful.
purple, right? Like, if you ever saw that play, it's like one of the questions that they ask is like, where's the color purple come from? Like, who made that up?
Exactly.
Like, where'd that come from?
Yeah, those conversations that you have
curiosity.
around, in the car or in la cocina, like that. I love it.
Yeah. Like, how do they stuff all that meat in the empanadas?
That's a long-standing question. I don't think there's even a scientific. That's a mystery.
You guys should have like a traveling exhibit,
like a
Hispanic
stuffing
food,
empanada exhibition. You heard that, guys?
Yeah.
Bring that to the table.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you talk about entertainment. I don't know if I told you this, but my master's degree is in entertainment business.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when I took the degree, I was like, okay, I'll find out about business.
Right.
But when you start getting into it and you see all the there's law, there's all these other things, there's financing, there's budgeting, there's all these things that go into it.
Yeah.
It's important to have that rounded experience, because a lot of people think it's like, oh, I'm just going to go read some lines, or I'm just going to go and sing, or whatever it is that you do. But there is so much to it. And I think that the people who are successful now with entertainment, and this is whether you want to go be a traveling singer, or you want to be a band, or you want to be an actor, or whatever the case is, you have to have some business savvy, because the model has changed completely.
Correct.
The fact that you have technology at the disposal of the arts, and how it's interacting, is changing how people get paid. Because you remember, I mean, you'd go to, if you were a musician, you wanted to get play on the station, right? So that people could go buy your records, and you get some money off of the sale of each record.
Correct.
Doesn't work like that anymore with streaming and everything else. It's like you get pennies, for every single album that gets played. So
Yeah.
The model is constantly changing. So similar to what you're talking about with the science field, and how things are evolving for the arts, things are also evolving.
It is, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I was wondering if you're doing anything between June 13th and the 17th.
June 13th and the 7th. I'll get back to you on that. I mean, if you want me to come in and talk to folks about,
I would
entertainment,
love to. Yeah.
entertainment business. Yeah.
But I want, having someone like you, I'm going to have guest speakers come in and talk to these kids so that they see someone that reflects them.
Looks like them.
Exactly.
That is so important.
It really
for all of our
really
kids is and we talk about this a lot at the Hispanic Chamber.
Yeah.
Is it's so important for us to not just show up to these networking events that we do, which are cool,
Right.
but let's show up for the next generation so they can see us.
Yes.
So they can ask the questions that, so talk to me about your journey. So what are the things that I should be thinking about? What classes should I be taking? What things should I be volunteering for? So that they can feel inspired, to move forward.
Yeah. Oh, the words of encouragement at that age, they last a lifetime.
100%.
I was just telling a friend, I remember when my first time in Allentown, it's my first time going to the dentist with my mother. And the dental assistant that was walking me towards the dental chair, I'll never forget this. I was like 9, 10 years old. Yeah, maybe it was 10, 11. Anyway, the thing is, I'm walking towards the dental chair, and she says to me, she looks at my chart. I sit down, and she says, wow, Norberto Dominguez, you sound like a very important person. You're going to be a very important person when you're older. Wow. You might even be in a podcast in 2024.
They should do it back then.
But those words of encouragement they stayed with me.
Affirmations.
Now,
Yeah.
all this time later, I still remember everything that was happening because of those words of encouragement. And that's one of the main reasons why I do what I do now. So, I love the work that I'm doing with Da Vinci, and I love the work that I'm doing when I'm outside of Da Vinci, working to still better our community, because I just want to leave just this hope behind that when I'm gone, I can go knowing that I left some type of hope and tried making our world a little bit better place to live in, and that small percentages that we learn as we grow older, that's small things that really matter. So doing that kind of work is why I'm doing this, and why it's very, very important to me. But also, these kids are going to be learning that same importance in that process. So hopefully they can continue to pass that mindset down of let's help to make our world a better place, because the world that they're growing into.
Let's take care of our world.
Yeah, and from an ecological standpoint, that's some of the stuff they're going to be learning at the Da Vinci Science Center. What's happening now and what may happen in the future, and what happens if we don't do this, or if we do this, how do we make our land a safer, better, greener, more beautiful place to live in? So those are the great aspects that we need to pass on and connect with folks. That's why it's really important to have. We're very, very fortunate to even have some place like a Da Vinci Science Center here. It's the only place like that between like New York and Philly, or New York and Philly and Jersey.
I'm sure you're gonna have plenty of people from New York and plenty of people from Philly who have been to everything that there is there.
Correct.
They're still going to want to come here,
Yes.
because they're going to see this as like, wow, this is like even taking it to a higher level.
It really is, and that's just one of the reasons why I'm here speaking to you. I'm glad you invited me here to speak about that. And when families start speaking about where they live and where they just brought their kids to and how they had a great time at Da Vinci Science Center, or with the work that the Allentown Public Theater and the other theaters and organizations that are in our vicinity of what they're doing, because this is a very artsy area in the Lehigh Valley. And
Well,
also,
I mean, you got the south side of Bethlehem,
Yeah.
but then now in Allentown, you're starting to see it, and
Yeah.
and obviously in Easton as well.
yeah, and it's a very sports-oriented area and a very science-oriented area, and
It's very cultural.
it really is, and that's why I think you're also seeing that's what really attracts people to communities is its culture. What's going on? Is it bustling?
Culture rich.
And there's so many parks around here, so it's just like it's a great place to come in and raise a family You know, and people talk well about safety and safety. Like safety is an issue no matter where you go these days. Doesn't matter where you go. You know.
But I think that part of the way that you combat that is by creating spaces
Yes.
that people want to go to, so that those future generations
Yes.
and those people who live in the community don't get to the point where they're so bored that
Yeah.
they just go off and make it an unsafe place.
Exactly. And so that's one thing as a community engagement liaison for the Da Vinci Science Center, and I'm out there not just speaking with folks within the inner city, but in suburban and rural areas within the Lehigh Valley. And sometimes I get asked about, was it safe to be downtown? Yeah, there's on a weekly basis, especially in the weekends, there's 4,000 or 5,000 people downtown going to see a hockey game, just like they were just last week.
I work down there, so
Exactly.
I feel safe when I'm out, on my lunch break.
And people bring their families in, and you see kids walking down the street with their mom and dads and stuff and whatnot. And so, yeah, it's a safe place
let's
to
talk
live in.
about that a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that right now, obviously, middle of the week, you have a lot of foot traffic because there's people who work down there.
Right.
But the complaint has always been that, when Friday, Saturday comes, if there's no hockey game or there's nothing going on at the PPL Center, then it's like a ghost town. So, I think that's one of the ways that Da Vinci, the Moxie up the block,
Correct.
The music hall that's opening up, it's really going to change
Big time.
the foot traffic patterns downtown, because now you're constantly going to have people choosing different destinations for different things
Right.
at the same time. So is there any concern about competing with all the things that are going on, or how do you see that?
I think the only competition is going to be for parking, downtown. I mean, and that's if you're looking for parking on the street. Otherwise, there's plenty of parking in the parking decks. No, I think it's more of a collaborative effort with all of the organizations and the companies that are down there. City Center is doing a fantastic job downtown. They've helped change the downtown area for the city of Allentown. The Moxie, the music hall that's opening up. I mean, there's a little section that has like a little mural way to connect them. That's exciting. That's cool, because then you have.
I could almost see you at the music hall with your play, and then just getting off of there and going to work.
Forget about it. Oh, man. I'm a film, because I have a film that's going to be coming out next year. So, I'll come back and talk about that. But
nice.
The Da Vinci Science Center is expecting around 400,000 people its first year.
Wow.
That's a lot of people downtown
that's
coming in. And a lot of that is returns, people returning, coming back, and they go there for the first time, and they're like,
they like it, and they want to bring 5 people with them.
Trae la familia, bring your, uncle, bring your family down, come down, come up from Philly.
I know that you're going to have a lot of people that are going to walk in because it's close. They're like, out of curiosity.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be blown away.
Yes.
And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I need to bring my niece, my nephew, my daughter, my whoever. So I'll tell you, I know one person who's going to be having an event there.
Who's that?
The Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Oh. Yeah, we're having our gala. We're having our gala at the Da Vinci Science Center in September.
Oh.
So we are looking forward to that.
Yes.
That's going to be a great time. One of the reasons why we wanted to bring it downtown is just that it's giving people the opportunity to see it for themselves. A lot of these folks that would normally come to this event anyway, but now they're coming in and they're checking out the Science Center. They're walking at, and now they're like excited about it, and they're wanting to bring people to come in and have a look at it. So
yeah, it's a great combination of when you have business Latinos that are coming in. When they leave, that's where the real networking begins.
Yeah, because they're talking to their associates like, hey, you really want to come downtown? We got some great things going on. I was just at this Science Center last week at an event, and it was amazing.
And all kinds of folk come to a Latino event like that too. It's not just Latinos that are coming to it.
Well, I know
interested.
the Philly crowd that comes to our event. I mean, they're probably going to see it for the first time, and they're going to be intrigued. So
No, it's really important. So, people that are listening, you should sign up and come down in September and be a part of it, especially the folks that are thinking about starting a new business, or that have already started, have a startup or something like that, or already doing something, been doing something for years. Come and meet other people. You never know where you might find someone that is interested or knows about funding.
Yep.
Or from a marketing perspective, there's just so many opportunities. I've done some of my best business deals and friendships coming from events just like this, a gala, a conference. You meet new people that I'm still friends with for the past 35, 40 years now.
So I'm going to plug two things real quick before we head out. We talked about the gala, which is coming in September.
Yes.
We also have a golf tournament happening as well. The Somos Familia golf tournament that's happening at Woodstone Country Club in June.
Nice. Okay.
So the cool thing with that is that we have 2 ticket options. We have one if you want to golf, come on by, spend the day with us.
Yeah.
But we also have an option for those who just want to just come and come to the dinner portion at 6:00. Brugal is one of our sponsors.
Ooh.
So we're gonna have like some some samples there.
Yes,
if you want to check that out.
Oh, definitely.
And then so you'll be there for that part. Of course you will be. Of course you will be. And we also have a Somos Latinos event. It's an event that I'm going to be moderating with a couple of other members. We're going to be talking about personal brand versus business brand, how people keep that separated. A really cool opportunity, again, to network, meet people, but learn more about, how do I navigate social media as an individual when I have a business, or if I work for corporate America.
Yeah.
There's going to be an interesting conversation there. A couple of our board members are going to be on that panel. We'll also have Kevin Green from
good guy. He's a good guy.
Yep, from one of our marketing companies here in the Lehigh Valley. It's going to be talking as well. So all that to say, great opportunities coming to network with the Hispanic Center. We got the Da Vinci Science Center opening up later this week. So there's going to be a great set of events to come and check out and participate in. And if you go down there, you'll probably meet Norberto in person and have a great chance to have a wonderful conversation with him.
That's true. So about that, I'm looking forward to meeting you. Please come down and check us out. May 22nd is the our grand opening.
Yes.
Bring the family. Bring yourself. Come down, have a great time. You're gonna definitely learn something new, and you're gonna have fun at the same time. So please come.
So
come
Norberto,
check it out.
for those who are listening who are part of companies that want to volunteer, or individuals that want to volunteer, how can they get a hold of you specifically?
Well, the best way to get a hold of me is to go right to the DaVinciScienceCenter.org,
The website.
and click on the
Volunteer.
on the volunteers and fill out an application.
Okay. And that goes directly to you.
That goes directly to me.
Okay.
And then I will contact you, and then we start with just having a conversation. This business that we're all in, it's about building relationships, and I'm into authentic relationship building, which also means to have a good relationship. It means maintaining a relationship. And so I'm very real about that. And so I'm looking forward to anyone that wants to volunteer or just come in and visit, to meeting you.
Awesome. Cool. Norberto, thanks so much for coming in today and having this time with us to talk about Da Vinci, talk about theater and how you're involved in that. And thanks for how you are involving yourself in the lives of our youth, in the lives of folks in our community, in making this a better place. And thanks to all of you for tuning in to Somos Lehigh Valley. Again, we're a podcast that's presented by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and also Venture X. So we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. And as we say every time when we sign off, love, peace, and adobo.
Yeah, adobo.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.